My name is Justin Vitito. I'm the Director of Training at Rock Castle Shooting Center, Park City, Kentucky. It's a beautiful day here in Kentucky, and I thought that I'd take a little paddle trip with my pack raft. What I don't know is that I'm going to have a really bad day. So part of what people really do wrong is being unprepared for a bad situation. So I'm out here today kind of mimicking that. I have really nothing as far as gear. I brought a water bottle, the clothes I have on, which are shorts, and then some sandal type shoes. Nothing really worthy of hiking or anything like that. And I'm just out for a nice day on the river, just gonna paddle around. So even though it's really hot out today, the water temperature is pretty cool in this particular river. So while I don't have an immediate risk of hypothermia if I were to take a spill and fall in, it's still going to be a little chilly. So things like this stick here could very easily puncture our raft, and then we're fully submerged in a moving body of water. So that's what we're going to simulate today, and I'm going to give you guys some things to think about. So now we're going to simulate a catastrophic puncture in my raft, and I'm going to do that by simply letting all the air out. I lost my shoes. All right, so unfortunately, I lost my shoes, but fortunately, these trees were here to stop me, and I didn't float all the way down the river. Also, because I had a little bit of forethought, I tied my paddle and off to my raft, and then made a loop that was on my hand, so when I took a spill, I still had control of the raft. What you want to be careful on though is looping it around to where you can't get out of the situation and the raft winds up dragging you down river with it. So I'm back on semi-solid ground. I'm gonna get out of here, pull my raft up with me. All right, so luckily I'm still alive. I didn't get swept down river and drowned to death. You may hear some squeaking in the background. That's Bear, and unfortunately we brought him along on this expedition and he will not shut up. So we'll probably from here on out just have him in the shots because he's being a pain. But again, I'm not out here by myself. I have my girlfriend Dania is filming everything, and then Bear's adding commentary as well. So the first thing after a bad situation is you have to realize that you're in a bad situation. too many people just get into a frenzy, freak out, and then don't calmly think about what they're actually doing. So I kind of have to take stock of my situation and figure out my priorities from there. My situation right now is I'm 5-10 miles upriver. I've lost my shoes when I took a spill. I have a raft that won't work, a water bottle that I managed to keep, a paddle, and no gear whatsoever other than the clothes I'm wearing and the little fire steel from Wazoo. So the first thing I got to worry about is exposure. It's really hot today, and that may be a good thing, but it could also be a really bad thing if on top of everything else I get sunburned. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take all my stuff and move it into the woods a little bit to get some shade. Alright, so I don't have a cutting tool, but I was able to find this piece of glass laying on here. Especially since I'm barefoot, I got to be careful about stepping on stuff like this. But what I'm going to use it for is to be able to rip this shirt and leave it as a marker in case somebody does come looking for me. So like I said before, it's very important that people know where you're at and what to do if you don't come back. So I've made the determination that since I'm so far out in the woods that there's really no way that I'm going to be able to walk out barefoot. Now that may change if I have to stay out here a couple days and I'm not able to do anything, but for the time being, what I'm going to try to do is stay put and wait for somebody to come get me. However, I've got to find some place that I can kind of hunker down and use as a shelter. So I may be leaving the trail a little bit. Well, since I'm leaving the trail, I want to leave a marker to where if somebody is coming to look for me, they can find me. So I'm going to leave this streamer up on this branch of my t-shirt, and there's no way that that accidentally happened. So this is a good visual indicator that somebody was here, and especially when you find more than one of them. So I'm going to go up the trail a little bit and leave another one, so that gives somebody an indication that something's going on between those two markers. Alright, so I'm going to be following this stream up in order to try and find some place for shelter. So what I'm going to do, I've already made markers on either side of the trail that gives somebody an indication of there's something to look for in between those two markers. So now I'm going to make an arrow with some sticks, and then if I can find something else like another stick sticking out of the ground right next to it, that gives somebody an indication of the direction that I've headed. Alright, so just by looking around a little bit, walking around, we happen upon this nice rock outcropping, and we can use this as a shelter. Build a fire under here. Anytime you build a fire under a rock outcropping like this, you want to make sure that it's not a type of rock that's going to fall on you. So anything that's slats of rock, is an inherent danger of heating up the space in between the rock, and then you have a giant slab fall on you. But this rock right here should be good, and we'll build the fire over some place where it's not going to create too much heat on the ledge. So the other nice thing about this this necklace that I do have, it's made by Wazoo, is the cord is actually fire cord and not regular 550. So inside here we actually have a little bit of tinder in the red stream. So we're going to loosen this up, try to use it to get our fire going. Fire's not hugely important right now because it's warm outside, but like I said, it does keep animals away, things like that. So at a certain point, I've got to make a determination of nobody's coming to get me. So if I've been out here for a couple days, one, I'm probably thirsty, hungry, tired. So that's not necessarily the best time to move, but I may have exhausted all my resources waiting around forever, especially if I don't have a lot of survival skills, may not be the best course of action. So it's always a give and take making that decision, but at the end of the day, staying put can only get you so far. We're miles and miles in the middle of nowhere. It's going to be a hard trek, especially with no shoes on, but it may come to a point where that's what I have to do. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to pack up my stuff and I'm going to head out. It's very important that I get all my stuff and carry it with me. If I get to the point where I'm not able to continue, then I can stop and set up another camp if need be. So I made the decision to walk out. If this were a real situation and not a simulated one, I would probably cut up this raft to try and make some shoes, because this is not exactly comfortable. So we're almost back to where my vehicle is. I've been walking a long time. So this video by no means was all-inclusive as far as everything that I would do if I found myself in a bad situation. The point I want to drive home, a couple points, is that it's very imperative if you're outdoors at all to be prepared. The other important point is that you always want to make sure somebody knows where you're at, especially if you're out in the forest. Give them a plan. Make up a contingency plan to where if you're not back within a certain time, somebody comes looking for you. So we finally made it. You can see behind me, that's the parking lot that I started out in. That's where my vehicle is. So you can see how you know, a day out, nice recreational float down the river could end up turning really, really bad. So it's very important that you're prepared for bad situations. You don't have to let that influence your life. You don't have to walk around with a backpack full of survival gear 24/7. But there are some very useful things that you can carry around with you. Home sweet home. Well, at least we're back to the car. For a list of survival and other classes that we offer at Rockcastle Shooting Center, go to www.rockcastleshootingcenter.com and click on Training Store. There you'll find a list of all the classes and upcoming dates. Hope to see you soon.